It's going down.
Right here at Yes Media Academy Radio. The rhythm goes on.
Girl, I wanna be your owner.
We raise the roof all day, every day.
It's 12 o'clock from Yesma Radio, the first Media Academy Radio. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Global News. In the headlines, Serap asks Lawan Gbajabiamila to publish reports on corruption probes seek special counsel bill. Nigeria's COVID-19 cases near 40,000 with 438 new infections. Resident doctors threatens to resume strike, give federal government 3 weeks ultimatum. And on the foreign scene, COVID-19, North Korea reports first suspected case as global cases top 16 million. And in the world of sport, Super Cup, Fellaini heads hat-trick to stun Benitez in China. Now the news in detail. My name is Olatunde Ido. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project Serap has sent Freedom of Information FOI request to the Senate President Dr. Ahmed Lawan and Speaker of House of Representatives Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, urging them to use their good offices and leadership positions to urgently publish all reports of completed public hearings and corruption probes by the National Assembly since the return of democracy in 1999. The organization also urged them to disclose the number and details of public hearings and corruption probes by the National Assembly that have resulted in any indictment of suspect and to name such suspects. The reports should be sent to appropriate anti-corruption agencies to consider if there is sufficient admissible evidence to pursue prosecution. In the FOI request dated 25th July 2020 and signed by Serap Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadari, the organization said publishing the reports of hearings and probes will bolster public trust and confidence in the oversight functions and dispel the perception that many of these hearings and probes are politically motivated and serve personal interests rather than the general public interest. COVID-19 cases in Nigeria closed in on 40,000 after the country recorded 438 new cases and 11 deaths. A breakdown of the new cases confirmed by the Nigeria Center for Disease and Control shows that Lagos recorded 123 new cases, with Kaduna trailing it with 50 cases. Rivers State saw its infections rise by 40, Edo 37, Adamawa 25, and Oyo 20. Nasarawa State recorded 16 cases, while Osun and Enugu States recorded 15 cases each. There were 14 new infections in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, 13 in Ekiti and Ondo State, 11 in Nebonyi, 10 in Katsina, 9 in Abia, 8 in Delta, and 4 in Kwara State. Ogun, Cross River, Kano, and Bauchi States confirmed 3 more cases each. Yobe 2, Sokoto, and Niger State have a case each. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has said it will resume its suspended nationwide strike in 3 weeks if the federal government fails to meet its demand. President of the association, Aliu Sokumba, revealed this to journalists in a press conference in Abuja. NARD had on June the 22nd suspended its nationwide strike after a virtual meeting of over 300 of its members. Sokomba at that time said the association suspended the strike in order to give the federal and state government time to fulfill its outstanding demands. The association declared an indefinite strike on June 15 over several demands, including the provision of adequate PPE for all healthcare workers and immediate reversal of the disengagement of all 26 resident doctors at the University Teaching Hospital in Jos, the Plateau State capital. Other demands were the universal implementation of the Medical Residency Training Act in all federal and state hospitals and ensuring pay parity among doctors of an equal cadre. The doctors also asked the government to implement the revised hazard and payment of agreed COVID-19 inducement allowances, as well as stop them and immediately refund all cuts in salaries of their colleagues in Kaduna and other states. The federal government has approved 14 airports to restart flight operations after months of closure due to lockdown occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, announced this morning, noting that the airports were authorized to resume domestic operations only as the date for international flights was yet to be announced. The Ministry of Defense, together with the Defense Headquarters, the Army, Navy and the Air Force, got over 238 billion naira in 2018 and 2019 to fight insecurity and implement their programs and operations, according to a report from the Budget Office of the Federation. The report, which are the 2018 and 2019 budget implementation reports, called by one of our correspondent from the website of the Budget Office, stated that the Defense Ministry, the Defense Headquarters and the three arms of the military budgeted over 316 billion naira for its operations and programs in the last 2 years. The federal government, however, released about 238 billion naira, which represents about 75% of their appropriation. Within the same period, the spate of the Boko Haram insurgency, banditry and violence in the country has gone up, and at least 71 soldiers have been killed by terrorists and bandits between January and July 2020 alone. This casualty figure is summed from the official armed forces release, while military sources believe that the casualty figure will be in hundreds. Some of the military sources said the continual loss of troops to insurgents and bandits in the theaters of operation nationwide was forcing soldiers to embark on mass resignation, with the latest being on July 3rd, when no fewer than 356 soldiers in the northeast and other theaters disengaged from service, citing loss of interest as their reason. And going straight to the foreign scene, North Korea declared its first suspected coronavirus case today, becoming one of the last countries to do so as the number of people infected worldwide passed 16 million. The isolated import until now insisted it had not detected a single COVID-19 case, even as the pandemic the planet overwhelming health system and trashing the global economy. At least 645,000 people around the world have succumbed to the respiratory disease, with North Korea rival the United States the worst hit country by far. The vicious virus could be said to have entered the country. Leader Kim Jong-un said, according to the official KCNA news agency. Authorities locked down the city of Kaesong near the frontier with South Korea, as state media said a defector who left for the south 3 years ago had returned and was suspected to be infected with the coronavirus. But experts believe the contagion is likely to have already entered North Korea from neighboring China, where the new disease emerged late last year. Police in the US city of Seattle clashed with crowds marching in support of anti-racism protests in one of the most tense of several rallies held across the country yesterday. Officers used stun grenades and pepper spray as protesters set broke windows. The march was in support of ongoing protests in Portland. 45 people were arrested while 21 officers were injured. In Austin, Texas, one man was killed during a Black Lives Matter march. Police said initial reports suggested the victim might have been carrying a rifle and approached a vehicle from where a person shot and killed him. The suspect has been arrested and is cooperating with officers. The demonstrations have been given renewed energy by violent clashes in Portland between protesters and federal agents deployed by President Donald Trump, despite opposition from local and state leaders. And going straight to the world of sport, Marouane Fellaini, who spent 3 weeks in hospital with coronavirus, scored a quick-fire hat-trick of headers to give Shandong Luneng a 3-2 win over Rafa Benitez Dalian Pro in China. Former Newcastle United striker Salomon Rondon looked to have given Benitez's side a winning start to the Chinese Super League season with a 57th minute header of his own. But former Manchester United star Fellaini then roared to the fore with 3 towering headers in the 79th, 83rd and 86th minutes in Dalian. Spanish coach Benitez, who took Liverpool to Champions League glory, could only look on in stunned amusement. Swedish international defender Marcus Danielsson pulled a goal back for the Dalian deep into stoppage time. The 32-year-old Fellaini is the only known coronavirus case in the CSL and spent 3 weeks in hospital in China before his release in mid-April. Shandong said he was asymptomatic, and the giant Belgian midfielder posted pictures on social media of him doing exercises in his hospital bed. The CSL kicked off yesterday, 5 months late because of coronavirus. All matches are being played behind closed doors in 2 cities, Seoul and Dalian, to limit the risk of infections. And that'll be all on Global News. But before I go, let me bring you a recap of the stories I brought to you earlier. In the news, we told you that Serap have asked Lawan Bojanbiamila to publish reports on corruption probe, SIGCAP special counsel bill. Nigeria's COVID-19 cases near 40,000 with 438 new infections. Resident doctors threaten to resume strike, give federal government 3 weeks ultimatum. And on the foreign scene, COVID-19, North Korea reports first suspected case as global cases top 16 million. In sports, Super Cup, Fellaini heads hat-trick to stun Benitez in China. Global News was produced and edited by Banke Bello Arilewo and delivered by Olatunde Idowu. The Yoruba version of Global News comes up immediately after this. Many thanks for listening. On behalf of the entire transmission team, I say good afternoon to you out there.